Within the expanded universe fandom, the Legends banner is a somewhat hotly contested topic. A lot of people hate it, but then there's some who point out that there could be some good aspects to having a unified banner. I've talked about the Legends banner and my thoughts on it, my ever evolving, changing stance on the Legends banner on stream several times, but I realized I hadn't done a concerted video talking about my thoughts on the Legends banner. I've talked about it a lot in the Discords, a lot on various messages, but I hadn't talked about it in a video specifically about the Legends banner. So what is the Legends banner? For those of you who don't know, the Star Wars Expanded Universe from 1976 to 2014 was simply called the Expanded Universe and was simply sold with a Star Wars logo on it, no banner or anything. But in 2014, with the Disney buyout and reboot, the Disney Star Wars canon was going to have just the Star Wars logo, and the Expanded Universe would now be rebranded as Legends. These stories didn't happen. These stories aren't part of the current canon, so they are Legends. They never happened. They are kind of an alternate continuity. They are legend, and to signify this, there you have this ugly yellow banner that stretches around the top to the spine of all reprinted Star Wars novels, as well as being on Epic Collections as well. So this yellow banner with black text, Legends banner, it's just kind of yucky looking. And so from 2015 and onwards, all Star Wars books that are part of the expanding universe were going to be resold, repackaged with the Legends banner. And the fandom wasn't too receptive of that. I think that it wouldn't be a controversial thing to say. The Expanding Universe fans didn't initially like or take to the Legends banner. First, our stories are halted, and now they're being repackaged as non-canon. It was kind of a situation that was not enjoyed by the Legends fans, by the Expanding Universe fans. And I fell into that camp at the beginning. At the beginning, I fell into that camp. And that camp was sort of an animosity, an anti-Legends banner. Now, it is true that I like to have the majority of my books when I can without the Legends banner. So you'll see, like, I'm very proud of my Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi, New Jedi Order, completely Legends bannerless, not a Legends banner in sight. I like to have the original copies whenever I can to avoid that ugly kind of yellow banner across the top of the books. And so I was definitely anti-Legends banner when I came into the fandom in 2017. When I found out what it was, I would try to avoid it. I didn't want to get the Legends banner version. And when I accidentally purchased a Legends banner copy, I'd eventually find a way to replace it with a non-Legends banner copy, with an original copy. Because the yellow banner, the black text, all of it didn't look very right. And beyond that, I think that a lot of the reasoning for people why they didn't like it has to deal with a feeling of disrespect. It feels a little bit like we've been kind of stiffed, like we've gotten the raw end of the deal here. Our stories are gone, and now you're kind of demeaning them by branding them as legend, as legends, as myth, as something that didn't happen. And I think a lot of us felt quite salty about that. Felt quite venomous towards the Legends banner and everything it represented. It just came at a very divisive time in the fandom, so it was a symbol that some of us could collectively like take our rage out on. Oh, that ugly Legends banner, right? So I didn't really like it for the psychological reasoning for how demeaning it felt to just slap that banner onto it. I didn't like it for it looks kind of ugly. And so I had this very opposed stance for many years when I came into the fandom. But that position's changed because while I love the Expanded Universe name, I call it the Expanded Universe most of the time. I only call it Legends when I think that a more broader, more casual, more mainstream person I'm talking to would like refer to it as Legends first. Like, that's the only time when I'd refer to it as Legends. I'd refer to it as the EU, as the Expanding Universe. I love that name. But as much as I love that name, it's not really a name that feels bankable. in some ways, Legends, that simple name, that simple title, feels like a much more appealing to corporate sort of name. It feels like good branding. While I didn't appreciate the title, appreciate the name at first, the Legends name at least shows the distinction. Because I have heard the Star Wars canon books and comics referred to as extended universe, expanded universe, because it is expanding that universe. It is expanding the Disney canon for those books and comics. It's expanding it from the screen to print media and other forms of media, right? So some canon fans refer to those books and comics set in the new continuity as expanding universe. So Legends creates a important distinction. Just go to Wikipedia. So for any casual Star Wars fan on Wikipedia, you have a canon tab and a Legends tab, and you know the distinction. You know what's Legends, you know what's canon. So it's good for branding. It's a one-word title. It's very easy to remember, and it creates a sort of blanket, a sort of veil over that universe, and stamps it as being a separate individual part of that continuity that is not a part of this Disney canon. So it did a good job of creating a distinction, creating a recognizable name, a recognizable banner that can be seen for being different, for being its own thing. So I think it does do a good job in terms of the branding aspects to the Legends banner. It seems like the more appealing to the casual audience way to put it. Instead of expanding universe, you've got this Legends banner and a Legends title, and it sort of unifies the content all under that umbrella. It creates a point for everything to fall under this one title. So I think that it does do a good job in that respect. Additionally, a lot of people have expressed a viewpoint that I think is kind of cool. I kind of resonate with it a little bit. People have adopted the view of seeing the Legends banner as a stamp of quality, a seal of quality. If it has that yellow banner wrapped around it, that's the good stuff. That's the stuff I want to read. And I do resonate with that. That does strike a chord with me. I think that is a good way to look at it. It's a seal of approval. It's a stamp of quality. You know that whatever story this is, it's going to be good if it has that Legends banner. So I do appreciate that viewpoint as well, and I do concur with that philosophy. It can be seen as a stamp of this is the good stuff, right? And I think that it does a good job of that. With the banner, it's instantly recognizable. It's very obvious and prominent. It's not like you can miss it, and it does a good job of being distinct from Disney canon and also being a seal of approval for us expanding universe fans. But additionally, in terms of continuation, in terms of hoping for continuation, asking for more Legends feels more possible than asking for more expanding universe, and that's partly because that's what they've elected to call it. So we're bargaining on their terms, right? We're asking for Legends, which is what they've decided to call it. Additionally, Marvel 108 came out with the Legends banner. It was showing distinctly that it's a part of the original timeline and is not part of the Disney canon. People weren't confused about it. People weren't like, oh, where does this fit in? People following the Disney canon, comics and books, knew that that wasn't a part of their storylines. They weren't wondering where Dr. Aphra was or how it fit into the current Marvel run at the time in 2017. They weren't confused by it. It created an obvious, clear distinction, so it avoided confusion. And I'd say that that is something that the Legends banner has going for it. It's recognizable, it's distinct, it makes that distinction, which I think could be important. And since we got a new piece of expanded universe media with the Legends banner, asking for more seems more plausible. Additionally, I'd like to point out that they didn't use the Legends banner for the Ronin stuff. I don't keep up with Disney canon, but from what I understand, Ronin was a part of like an anime show called like Visions or something, Visions, something like that. And all of that was not part of the Disney canon, but they didn't use the Legends banner. So it's not like all stories that aren't a part of the timeline are going to be thrown onto this like umbrella name. No, Legends means expanded universe. That is clear by the fact that they didn't use a Legends banner on that. They're not just going to use it on anything. They're only using it on expanded universe stories to make that distinction. So while I don't love the name Legends because it seems to imply that it's a myth, that it's something that didn't happen, that it's not true, at the same time, only good stories pass into legend, right? And these are good stories. So if they have passed into legend, if they are legendary, I can't really argue with that name. So the more that I've thought about it over the years, the more I've sort of come around to the banner. Of course, I'd rather not have the banner on my books. I'd like to have bannerless copies where I can. But I'm not as like anti-Legends banner as I once was. I was in a place where I was like, I should go into Barnes & Noble and Sharpie out all the banners out of spite. I wasn't actually going to do that, but, it's something I contemplated. I just hated that thing. It's yellow, it's in your face, it's ugly, and I didn't like what it represented. But the more I've thought about it over the years, the more I think that sort of the Legends banner makes sense going forward for us. The name, in a way, makes sense. These are legendary stories we are talking about. And for the possible continuation efforts, the Legends banner creates a good rallying point, a good place where we can play on their ground, where we can play in their court, where we can play by their rules. So the Legends banner creates something that is somewhat common ground for trying to get Lucasfilm employees to consider continuing the Legends timeline. It also creates a easy distinction, and it's also something that a lot of more casual, more normie, dare I say, fans have at least heard of Legends, have heard that it's a separate thing. I think the name is becoming more synonymous with expanding universe material than the name expanded universe. The name Legends is starting to become more widespread to refer to it, for better or worse, and I'm tending to lean better. It's good branding, it's good name recognition, and it does a good job of classifying our stories as their own thing. And simply having that banner wrapped around these stories, it does accomplish its goal. It marks that as being a part of this old timeline. So I do think it does do some good things. And I think at this point, if we refer to it as Legends, there will be a higher chance for continuation efforts if you are so inclined to be asking for more expanding universe material. Asking for more Legends rather than asking for more expanding universe, I feel is going to get the job done quite a bit easier than if we were asking for more EU. I think it does accomplish its goal, and while the yellow and black font it isn't the prettiest, I'm starting to come around to it a little bit. It's a stamp of quality. So there's my 2 cents for thoughts on the Legends banner. The good, the bad, the pros, the cons. I kind of went on a character arc since 2017 where I was venomously opposed to it. I hated that banner. It was ugly. It was terrible. Then now where I think it's not so bad, it might actually be a good thing for us, which is crazy that I've kind of come to that conclusion over the years. But I know this is a hotly contested one within the fan base. I'm sure that the comments could turn into a war zone really quick. This is just my opinion. I think that the Legends banner overall is pretty good for us now, rather than something that I hated a couple years ago. So I went on a bit of a character journey throughout my experience with the Legends banner, with my thoughts on what the Legends banner represented, what it meant, etc., etc. Then I know that not everyone's going to agree with me. It's just my opinion on the Legends banner. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of the Legends banner. Do you think it's great? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's terrible? It's an interesting one. It's an interesting topic. So let me know what you think of the Legends banner in the comments below.